Good morning, everyone. As always, place your cross on first. You know, when you live for God, some people gonna start hating you and despising you because of the Lord has His hands on you. But don't be upset. Don't be mad. It's part of the plan. Everybody's not gonna favor what you do. Some people are gonna be against you. But the Lord is gonna show you what you are. You understand? He's gonna show you who you are. How? Through favor. You understand? And as always, place your cross on first. Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. You know, when you read Psalms, just think of what David was possibly going through in some of those moments. You know, today I'm going to start out by reading Psalm 86. Bow down, this is Psalm 86, a prayer of David. Now think about this. Bow down thy ear, O Lord, hear me, for I am poor and needy. Now, David wasn't born with a silver spoon in his mouth. He was a sheep herder. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't rich, he wasn't fancy. So think about this when you hear that. For I am poor and needy. Preserve my soul, for I am holy. O thou my God, save thy servant that trusteth in thee. Be merciful unto me, O Lord, for I cry unto thee daily. Just think about what David was going through. For thou, Lord, art good and ready to forgive, and plenteous in mercy unto all them that call upon thee. Give ear, O Lord, unto my prayer, and attend to the voice of my supplication. In the day of my trouble I will call upon thee, for thou wilt answer me. Among the gods there is none like unto thee, O Lord, neither are there any works like unto thy works. Now when you first read that, you're going to think, oh, there are other gods out there. But read on. All nations whom thou hast made shall come and worship before thee, O Lord, and shall glorify thy name. For thou art great, and doest wondrous things. Thou art God alone. Teach me thy way, O Lord. I will walk in thy truth. Unite my heart to fear thy name. I will praise thee, O Lord my God, with all my heart, and I will glorify thy name forevermore. For great is thy mercy toward me, and thou hast delivered my soul from the lowest hell. O God, the proud are risen against me, and the assemblies of violent men have sought after my soul, and have not set thee before them. But thou, O Lord, art God, full of compassion, and gracious, long-suffering, and plenteous in mercy and truth. O turn unto me, have mercy upon me. Give thy strength unto thy servant, and save the son of thine handmaid. Show me a token for good, that they which hate me may see it. Did you see that? Show me a token for good, that they which hate me may see it and be ashamed. Because thou, Lord, hast holpen me and comforted me. Show me a token for good, that they which hate me may see it. Think about that. Let's go back to Samuel. First Samuel chapter 18. Now this is right after David slew Goliath. You understand? You know, God had already set up David to be the next king. You understand? And the Spirit of the Lord left from Saul, came upon David. And God was with David from this point on. But he always been with David. Think about it. David slew a lion, a bear. David, a poor man. God saw something inside of David that he probably didn't even see in himself. Even Samuel, when he was trying to choose the next king, he went through everybody except David. Surely this is the man. But God sees totally different from how we see. Let's start with 18. And it came to pass, when he had made an end of speaking unto Saul, that the soul of Jonathan was knit with the soul of David. And Jonathan loved him as his own soul. Let's go back right quick. Show me a token for good. You see, Jonathan saw something in David that his father didn't see. And Jonathan loved him as his own soul. And Saul took him that day and would let him go no more home to his father's house. Then Jonathan and David made a covenant because he loved him as his own soul. And Jonathan stripped himself of the robe that was upon him and gave it to David and his garments, even to his sword, and to his bow, and to his girdle. And David went out wheresoever Saul sent him, and behaved himself wisely. And Saul set him over the men of war, and he was accepted in the sight of all the people, and also in the sight of Saul's servants. And it came to pass, as they came when David was returned from the slaughter of the Philistines, that the women came out of all cities of Israel, singing and dancing, to meet King Saul, with tabrets, with joy, with music, instruments of music. I like how they spell music in the Bible. M-U-S-I-C-K. And the women answered one another as they played, and said, Saul has slain his thousands, and David his 10,000s. And Saul was very wroth, and the saying displeased him. And he said, they have ascribed unto David 10,000, and to me they have ascribed but thousands. And what can he have more but the kingdom? And Saul eyed David from that day forth. And it came to pass on the morrow that the evil spirit from God came upon Saul, and he prophesied in the midst of the house. And David played with his hand, as at other times, and there was a javelin in Saul's hand. And Saul cast the javelin, for he said, I will smite David, even to the wall with it. And David avoided out of his presence twice. Wow. Look at that. David went through pure hell with Saul. He didn't mean Saul no harm. He did it. But the favor and the kingdom was to be turned over to David. And Saul knew this because Samuel told him. And he figured out, it's that man right there. This sheep herder. Therefore Saul removed him from him and made him his captain over 1,000. And he went out and came in before the people. And David behaved himself wisely in all his ways. And the Lord was with him. Now, can you kind of relate to that psalm now? Does it make sense a little bit to you? Wherefore, when Saul saw that he behaved wisely, very wisely, he was afraid of him. He was afraid of him because he behaved himself wisely. Wow. But all Israel and Judah loved David because he went out and came in before them. You see, he probably sent David to war to try to kill him. But it didn't work. All it did is make David more great. You see, the enemy loves stacking things against you to try to make you fall. But all it does is make you stronger. He said, if you faint in the day of adversity, how weak is your strength? And Saul said to David, behold, my elder daughter, Merab, her will I give thee to wife. Only be thou valiant for me, and fight the Lord's battles. For Saul said, let none my hand be upon him, but let the hand of the Philistines be upon him. And David said unto Saul, who am I? And what is my life? Of my father's family in Israel, that I should be son-in-law to the king? David wasn't prideful, he wasn't boastful. Even after everybody praising him and doing that, he still was a humble servant. But it came to pass at the time when Merab, Saul's daughter, should have been given to David, that she was given it to Adriel, the Melechite, to wife. And Michal, Saul's daughter, loved David. And they told Saul, and the thing pleased him. But Saul didn't do this to try to help David. And Saul said, I would give him her, that she may be a snare to him. Well, if you read fast forward, David fought to get Michal back in his life. She was given to somebody else. But at the same time, David fought to get her back. And then she was just jealous and all that. And David locked her up. It didn't work. Let's put it this way. It didn't work. In Psalms, he said, all those that favor my righteous cause. And that the hand of the Philistines may be against him. Wherefore Saul said to David, thou shalt this day be my son-in-law, and a one of the twain. And Saul commanded his servants, saying, commune with David secretly, and say, behold, the king hath delight in thee, and all his servants love thee. Now therefore be the king's son-in-law. And Saul's servants spake those words in the ears of David, and David said, seemeth it to you a light thing to be a king's son-in-law, seeing that I am a poor man? Like, why are you doing this? I'm nothing. Look how humble David is. I'm nothing. That's it. He wasn't doing everything for the Lord or for his self-glory. He was doing it for the glory of the Lord. He wasn't trying to be prideful or boastful. That's why David was a man after God's own heart. He was humble. And the servants of Saul told him, saying, on this manner spake David. And Saul said, thus shall you say to David, the king desireth not any dowry, but 100 foreskins of the Philistines, to be avenged of the king's enemies. But Saul thought to make David fall by the hand of the Philistines. You see, every time he sent David to do something, David would do it as a loyal servant to the king. And when his servants told David these words, it pleased David. David was like, okay, that works for me. Well, to be the king's son-in-law in these days were not expired. Wherefore David arose and went, he and his men, and slew of the Philistines 200 men. And slew the Philistines 200 men, and David brought their foreskin. Saul asked for 100. David brought back 200. And they gave them in full tale to the king, that he might be the king's son-in-law. And Saul gave him Michal, his daughter, to wife. And Saul saw and knew that the Lord was with David. Show me a token for good, that they which hate me may see it and be ashamed, because thou, Lord, hast opened me and comforted me. And Saul and knew that the Lord was with David, and that Michal, Saul's daughter, loved him. And Saul was yet the more afraid of David, and Saul became David's enemy continually. Then the prince of the Philistines went forth, and it came to pass, after they went forth, that David behaved himself more wisely than all the servants of Saul, so that his name was much set by. Look at all those plots, just in that one chapter. Sending David to war to try to kill him. Didn't work. Give him his daughter. They're trying to make the Philistines hate him. Basically make him a prince. Think about it. Didn't work. You're going to go through things like that in your life. You're going to feel like all odds are against you. So when you read Psalms, just think. Sometimes David's prayers were prayers of forgiveness because he messed up. Just think about it when he messed up and slew Uriah the Hittite. Then you read Psalms, you can understand a little bit more of what David was going. I think these Psalms were in here for a reason, to show you some things. And don't tell me how many other prayers David prayed that are not written in this book. Probably hundreds and thousands. One thing about it, you can't really put a number on a prayer warrior's prayer life. Psalms is only 100 and how many? Let's see how many Psalms are there. It's 100. No, 150 Psalms. That's just written. Just imagine though. How often do you pray to the Lord? You just give you a rough estimate of how much David was a prayer warrior. That he called on the Lord daily. They wrote some of his prayers down to show you how your prayer life should be. Like he said, I'm poor and needy. Poor and needy. And he was. Look at this prayer though. Show me a token for good, that they which hate me may see it and be ashamed. Because thou, Lord, hast hope in me and comforted me. God delivered David out of the hand of Saul every time. He would deliver Saul to his feet. The Lord said to my Lord, sit thou at my right hand till I make your enemies your footstool. He had Saul at his feet. Now think about what a footstool is meant for. For you to reach higher heights. That's what God's going to do to your enemies. He's going to use them to lift you up. So I may be lifted up above all my enemies. He's going to use them to lift you up. They're going to mean to do you wrong. But God's going to use that to lift you up. You so sometimes your enemies put tasks for you that they think you can't accomplish. And the thing is with the Lord, you accomplish every task. Just like David. He accomplished everything. Through the Lord. Not by his own might, but the Lord was with him. You know, y'all better pay attention. Let me pause and I will continue.